Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Buddha tells Sariputra, when you rely on the perfection of the wisdom, one attains to bodhisattva, and then he lives without any thought coverings. Means he attains to inner emptiness. Is not that he will not use thoughts. In order to speak to you, I have to form the sentences, I have to use the language, the grammar, the proper use of the words. All that is important. But all these are emerging out of inner silence, inner emptiness. There is no thought covering. It is like I have heard a person went to a garden shop. He wanted a unique flower, a plant. He wanted a rose plant, but he did not want on that plant rose flowers to blossom. Instead, he wanted marigold and lotus to blossom on a rose plant. This is not possible. When freedom of expression bill was to be passed in American Parliament, that time George Washington was the prime minister, was the president. It was opposed. George said, freedom of expression is a great tool in the hands of those to advertise their foolishness. Whatever is there inside, if the plant is a rose plant, it will bring out only rose flowers. Whatever thought coverings, whatever emotions, whatever feelings are there in you, they will manifest and you will see all around those qualities only. Because if you are angry, you know anger very well. So to you, everyone will appear angry. Everyone will appear frustrated. To an unhappy person, nobody will appear to be happy. It cannot happen. So a Buddha, a Bodhisattva, Buddha tells Sariputra, lives without thought covering. Your thought coverings are like clothes that do not allow you to merge in the existence in your natural form, because clothes cover you. In the same way, it is the thoughts that cover your reality. What are these thoughts? That I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian, I am a communist, I am a fascist. All the divide. The thoughts are there that you are beautiful, and someone else is ugly. Someone is intelligent, the other is unintelligent. All thoughts divide, and you are aggregate of millions of thoughts. If you start peeling yourself like an onion, layers upon layers after layers, you peel one layer, another is there. You go on peeling until you reach and you will not find anything there. And when you are peeling the layers of onion, the sharpness of onion burns your eyes. So too, when you start uncovering your being, it is more painful than peeling off the layers of onion. It is not like taking off the clothes, which is easy. It is like taking off the skin. But if you go on peeling, one day you will realize there is no more onion. Instead, there is nothingness, emptiness, and this nothingness is bliss. Buddha says a bodhisattva dwells without, lives without thought coverings. He is here. But nobody will notice his presence. Osho says, he stayed in the house of his parents like nobody. He is sitting in a corner. Nobody notices him. The mother will come and say that I wish there was someone. I need to get this thing for the kitchen. Only if you are noisy, you are noticed. If you are sitting quietly in your office and doing the work, in your office, in every office, you will find certain people who are only, they come in the office, they glue to their desk, continue to do their work sincerely and quietly, and nobody notices them. There are others, for every little thing they make a noise, they are noticed. Bodhisattva stays as if he is nobody. He has no idea. There are people, even if you ask them or do not ask, they are ready to interfere to give their opinions. But Bodhisattva has no idea. He does not waste his time because nobody has asked me to express my opinion. He has no thoughts. Not that he cannot use thoughts. As a master, he goes on using thoughts continuously. He uses the mind as an instrument. But none of these, neither the mind nor the thoughts, cover him. They are by the side. Whenever I want to use the thought, I use it. The sentences starts forming one after the other. And whenever I do not need them, they are there dormant. My inner sky, the inner screen and the outer screen are one. Even while I am using, I know that this division does not exist. They are instrumental. A bodhisattva, a man of awakening, dwells without thought covering. Buddha speaks of 3 types of thought coverings. The first is action covering. What is action covering? Every day we engage in certain actions. There are many incomplete actions. How many actions on a day-to-day basis you start and leave them incomplete? Unfinished, untotal actions cover your being layers upon layers. By nature, each act that you have started needs to be completed. There is an intrinsic urge in each action to be finished, to complete itself. Whenever you allow certain actions to hang around you incomplete, it covers you as a layer. This is known as action covering. Your incomplete actions cover you. Then there is next covering that is known as conflict or inner dissatisfaction covering. The Hindi word is klesh avaran. Klesh means how many people you see around, they are happy within. The inner state of conflict, inner unhappiness put together creates a conflict in you. Your greed, hate, jealousy, and things like these create impurities. They cloud your consciousness not to manifest its light, and they cover you. This is known as conflict covering. Have you washed it? An angry person always remains angry. Sometimes he is less angry, other times he is more, but anger remains as the guiding principle. Anger becomes the filter, just as your air conditioner has filters. The air passes through the filters and it is filtered. In the same way, whatsoever comes out of you, it passes through the filter of anger. It gets traces of that. Such a person is always ready to jump upon anything. He is ready with any excuse. He is ready to go in rage. His consciousness is always on fire, boiling within. So is the case of a jealous person. The jealous person goes on searching to find something about which he or she can be jealous. A jealous wife goes on looking into the pockets of her husband to see if she can find something or in his files. These thought coverings Buddha calls as conflict or clash or impurities. Egoistic person is always searching for something to either brag about or feel hurt about it. The possessive person is always in search of finding something so that he can show his possessiveness, or in finding something negative so he can fight for it. People go on like this. Just watch your mind. What are you going to search? 24 hours your mind will come across all these coverings. There are incomplete acts or impurities, and then there is the third covering. It relates to your opinions, belief system, ideologies, or knowledge. They do not allow you to know. They do not give you any space to see if you are preconditioned with an opinion, with an ideology. These three coverings, the action covering, whatsoever you undertake, finish it. Otherwise, it will hang around your consciousness, and then life comes to an end. And when these surface for any reason, you will not be able to know that. If you have left a relationship incomplete, this is what normally happens. And now, maybe some years back, and you have forgotten about it. You have assumed a new birth. Maybe 20 years have passed. You are living happily with your family. All of a sudden, this person enters into your life like a turmoil, because you have left that incomplete. Action covering all unfinished actions, then the impurities, and the last is the covering of ideologies. When these three coverings are dropped, then one dwells in, and these coverings govern your thought process. They act like filters, and everything that comes out of your mind passes through these filters of karma avarana, klesha avarana, and gahe avarana, means covering of unfinished actions, covering of inner conflict, jealousy, hatred, and things like these, and the covering of the ideologies that I am a Hindu, I am a follower of a Sufi master. How can I follow the teachings of Guru Nanak? These three coverings have to be dropped, then you stay in a state of nothingness. That word dwelling, dwells in nothingness, is very important to understand. Buddha says he dwells in nothingness. What is nothingness? Means a place where he has nothing. It is his home. You may be living in your house, but one does not live where one lives is different than the boundaries that confine your room. Nothingness is his home. He dwells in it. It is his dwelling. He loves it. He is utterly in tune with it. It is not alien. He does not feel like an outsider there. And he does not feel like staying in a hotel room and tomorrow he will have to leave it. It is his permanent dwelling place. When thought coverings have been dropped, nothingness is your home. You are in harmony with it. Philosophers like Soren Kierkegaard and Sartre have never attained to this emptiness. They have only speculated about it. They only think about it, about how it will be. That is why Soren Kierkegaard talks about feels like trembling. He simply thinks as you think. Just think how it will be when you die and your body is put on the funeral pyre. You will be finished forever, and then you will not be able to see the beautiful trees, those beautiful people, and you will not be able to laugh again, love again. You will not see the stars. The world will continue in its own way, but you will not be here. Will there not be a shivering in you? Can't you feel trembling? All will continue. The birds will sing, the water will flow, the sun will rise, the ocean will roar, and some eagles will go on flying higher in the sky. Flowers will blossom with their fragrance, and the fragrance of the wet earth, all that will be there. Suddenly one day you will not be. Your body will be no more. All that will be there. The beautiful body that you have been living with, and you have been talking so much about it, is no more there. And one day it will be all useless. That people who have loved you will have to take care of your funeral pyre and just visualize what will happen when you breathe no more. You cannot imagine. Go into this meditation one day. Your body is lying down on the funeral pyre. You cannot laugh, you cannot see the stars, you cannot see the flowers blossoming. You cannot hear the sound of a child giggling, the ocean roaring, the birds chirping. Will there not be trembling in you? To read the scriptures, to put the comments on the posts on Facebook is all useless. But that is what we engaged in. If along with that you do not go into the meditation, think that you are dead. People are lamenting around you. The children are crying. The wives, the husbands are crying. The neighbors are saying that what a good person he was. You cannot see your beautiful body. Read the elegy written in the country churchyard by Thomas Gray in 17th century. The curfew tolls the knell of the parting day. The lowly wind floods his homeward, floods his weary way, and leaves the world unto me to darkness. He is standing in the graveyard and thinking that maybe here some village Hamden may be buried, some prominent person will be buried. Go into this meditation that your body is lying on a funeral pyre. People have gathered all around. You cannot see, and see if there is trembling in you. That is what Soren Kierkegaard talks about, trembling. Trembling comes in the moment you start imagining this. Kierkegaard must have speculated about it. He must have been fear-oriented or fear-covering. A story is told about him that he was a rich man's son. His father died. He left enough money for Kierkegaard, so he never worked. He continuously contemplated. He could easily afford it. There was nothing to do. He had enough money in the bank. The first day of every month he would go to the bank. That was his whole work, to take some money out, and then he will live and meditate. In his sense of meditation, it means contemplation, brooding, thinking. That is why the English word meditation, that is what English word meditation means. It is not the right word for Marakba or Dhyan. So Kierkegaard would contemplate, think, brood, and philosophize. It is said that he fell in love with a woman but could not decide to marry her or not to marry her. The very phenomena of love became trembling in him. For 3 years, he brooded over it and finally decided not to marry her. And he was in love. The whole life he could not forget the woman, and whole life he felt miserable for the woman. The woman too was in love. He was in love. Still he decided not to marry. Why? Because the very idea of love created trembling in him. Love is a kind of death. You have to die, your ego has to die. If you really love a person, you will die for him. You will disappear in him when you make love. I have to use this word make, although it is not the right word. But no language is the right language. So I have to use the word within their limitations. Love cannot be made. Making love is a wrong expression. It happens. But when it happens, when you are in a loving space with someone. Fear comes because in that loving space you are disappearing. That is why very people, one in the millions, can attain to a state of inner orgasm, because it is nothing but like death. Kierkegaard was so much in love that he became afraid that he might lose himself in this woman, and or because of this woman, that fear was too much in him. He dropped the idea. He refused. He would not marry. He suffered the rest of his life, but that he accepted because of fear. Kierkegaard was fear-oriented person. He lived perfectly well, doing things, went on philosophizing, and there is a very strange anecdote about him the day he died. He died when he was coming from the bank. It was the first day of the month. As usual, he went to the bank to withdraw some money. He was coming from the bank, taking his money, but this was the last money that he withdrew from the bank, and he died on the road. It is said he died out of fear, because now no more money was left in the bank. He was perfectly healthy. He was not ill. There was no reason for him to die suddenly. But coming from the bank, and the bank manager has said this is the last time you can withdraw the money, or your money is finished. He could not reach home. He died on the road. He could not have experienced the nothingness Buddha is talking about. Kierkegaard must have thought about it only, and that is why there was fear. There is another person, Jean-Paul Sartre. Has not been in the space called meditation. He was not a meditator, instead a thinker, utterly Western thinker. He has not known the Eastern way of going in. Hence, freedom looks like a condemnation. The freedom looks like anguish. The truth is just opposite. If you go into freedom, into nothingness, there is bliss. If you go into the utter death called love, there is a saturi, a small window opening in the open sky. Buddha says he dwells in that nothingness. This nothingness is his house. It is not anguish. It is not trembling. It is not condemnation. He dwells there. It is his home. He has not been made to tremble. He has overcome all that can upset him, and in the end, he attains to nirvana. Buddha does not say anything else. He pauses here. He simply tells you to go in the state of nothingness. Then nirvana is natural to come to you. And the rest is your experience. In the end, it comes on its own. You need not worry about it. You cannot do anything about it in the first place. You just go into this nothingness, and then what happens? This nothingness starts growing into you, becoming vaster and vaster into you, and one day this nothingness becomes your whole existence. It surrounds you in and out. And that state when nothingness surrounds you from all around, there is nirvana. You have ceased to be. You have disappeared into the existence. You have attained to both fana and baka. Someone asked Buddha, where would you be when you are gone? You will never be coming into the body again. What will happen to you? The answer that Buddha gave it beautiful. He said, I will disappear into the existence. If you taste existence, you will taste me. And yes, it is true. If you are one with existence, if you have merged into the ocean, like a drop, if you have merged into the ocean, you will taste Ganges, Nile, Thames, Hudson, because all the rivers have merged into the ocean. Buddhas, Krishnas, Ramans, Jesus, Muhammad, all has merged into the existence. Existence is sum total of all these. It is no inshallah, it is no Om Shanti, nothing. And he said, I will disappear into the existence. If you taste existence, you will taste me. Yes, it is true. If you know how to taste existence, you will taste all the Buddhas, Krishna, Christ, Mahabir, Zarathustra, Lao Tse, Kabir, Nanak. Is not that in order to speak on Buddha, or speak on Mahabir or Zarathustra or Lao Tse, I have to be an expert in his philosophy. No, it is not. I just uncover that window, connect to the existence, take the plug, push it into the socket. That terminal, the existential terminal is there. The moment the live streaming or any session begins, I connect. Just as to turn on your systems, you connect it to the electrical socket. I connect my being to the existential socket, which has been established, which has been put into my being. The moment it is connected, whatever is needed, whatever channel is needed to flow, be it Krishna, be it Mahabir, be it Jesus, be it Muhammad, starts flowing through. The day you enter into nothingness, you will be welcomed by all the Buddhas. Then you will not talk about Guru Nanak or Allah or the Father. The whole existence is throbbing with Buddhahood because so many Buddhas have disappeared into it. They have raised the very level of their existence. You are fortunate because before you so many Buddhas have happened and all have disappeared into the vastness of the existence. When you go, you will not be unwelcomed. Only this much for this morning. Continue this session until we meet again. Remember, no one can live with the burden of unlived past. Do not bring your unlived past in the present moment. Shadow of ego will not allow you to rest in peace. Also, you cannot take your unlived past into the future. It will burden you, and you will not be able to bear this twin burden of ego and dark past. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.